Hello and welcome to the Undressing the Spirit podcast, where sex and spirit go hand in hand. Join me, Tamara Powell, on a no-holds-barred adventure into the psyche and beyond every conceivable limit. Welcome back to Undressing the Spirit. I'm your host, Tamara Powell, and I am so beyond honored that you are here with me today. I got a question for you. What do you get when you combine part personal branding strategist, part fitness pro, part badass, and part social media ninja warrior with killer enthusiasm and passion for helping others? I'll tell you what, you get one hell of an unstoppable fiery redhead that I know as Nikki Pebbles. Woo woo! That's right. Nikki Pebbles is in the house today, and all the Pebble Rebel Posse said, amen. Super excited. As you know, I started this podcast as a way to explore a man's search for meaning and purpose and passion and explore the overlap with spirituality and sexuality. And Nikki Pebbles, for anyone who does not know her, you must be living under the rock. She really embodies a way of living that is truly, wow, I don't even know how to describe her. She's an incredible person to know. And her tribe of Pebble Rebels will be super thrilled to hear a lot of the backstory that I don't think people are aware of in her journey to becoming the dynamic, incredible, all of the things I just described to you. So without further ado, I give you my interview with Nikki Pebbles. I got Nikki Pebbles in the house. I'm so excited. I'm going to be a woo girl on this episode. I can already tell. Woo woo.
I feel bad for people who have headphones in just for
No, they just got their jolt of caffeine for the day. That's all.
Yeah.
It's all good. I have been looking forward to this conversation for a hot minute. So thank you so much.
I'm so excited. Thank you so much for having me.
And for our listeners, let me tell you why I am super excited about this, although they'll hear about that in the intro already by the time this airs. But just to reiterate, because your story, Nikki, is one that not only resonates with me as an entrepreneur, but also as a woman. And I know so many of my clients and listeners are going to end up feeling the same way by the time we're done here. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I was actually just scrolling through some of your YouTube videos and going, yep, that's why I love her. Mm-hmm. So for those who are not yet a part of the Pebble Rebel Posse and the Pebble Rebel movement, can you tell them a little bit about your story and how you came to be such a fiery redhead badass taking over the entrepreneurial world?
Sure. Awesome. So when I think about when I first started my entrepreneurial journey, I feel like I've always known that I wanted to be an entrepreneur from a really, really young age.
Really?
Yeah. I remember I had to be in elementary school when everyone was doing sleepovers still.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in a big circle with my friends. I had to be I don't even know, 10 or 11. And they were all going around the circle talking about what we wanted to do when we got older. And every single one of them were like, I just want to get married and have kids. And I want to be a young mom. That's what they always say. I want to be a young mom. And I remember sitting there just thinking to myself at 10, 11, being and not that there's anything wrong with that, right? But,
no, but
10, 11, I was just that's not what I want to do. When you're 10 and thinking about when you're 25, 26, 27, you feel like that's a million years away. Mm-hmm. You're a big time adult at that point. So I'm when I'm 25, I don't want to do that. I want to run a business. And when it came to my turn, I was well, I want to own a business. I want to run a business. And they all looked at me like I had 10 heads. And, I kind of was the only one who thought that way. And that really just, repeated itself really throughout, all through school, even to college. When I went to college, I changed my major so many times just because I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. I always knew that I was super passionate about helping people, and I always knew that I had this thing inside of me that just that I had to help women. I had to help women. That was always like the repeat that always played in my head, the narrative. But I just didn't know how. I've always been one of those people who just didn't understand what I was good at. I always danced, always performed, but never looked at that as a talent. Just really thought of it as like, this is what I do and this is what I love. But I always struggled with being like, okay, this is my talent. Like some of my friends were good at like, so many things. And I just sat there and always struggled with it. So when I went to college, that was a big deal for me, is figuring out that major. And finally I decided to be a psychology major with a double degree in English. And I really concentrated on child psychology, child development, and loved it. When I say obsessed with it, like on my spare time, I would actually go look at YouTube and look at like different videos.
I love it. We're so synchronous on that.
I was like, this is so cool. So for a minute there, I thought that I was going to go the traditional route, and I wanted to get my PhD, and I was applying to go get my master's and was all excited about it, but it still didn't feel right. And at that point, I actually gained a lot of weight towards my junior year of college. So what ended up happening, I guess you could say, was kind of destiny in a way, in a cheesy way. But I was all about going to school and I was going to get my master's. And then one day I decided that I was going to try out to be a Jets cheerleader, New York Jets cheerleader. And that meant—
Shut the fuck up, girl. I just got to stop you right there because I'm so excited about that. Because the people who listen to me long term know that I tried out to be a Patriots cheerleader.
Really? Get out
yes.
of here.
And this is so like coincidence. I'm going to like fangirl for a hot minute. My maiden name is Pebbles. So Pebbles was my nickname all the way through. And I actually got a personal trainer's license before I finished my master's in psych. So it's like,
oh my God, are we?
You and I are just so, yes. So the fact that you were like a state over with the Jets and I was, in Massachusetts with the Patriots. Oh my God. So funny.
Wow. That's so funny. Like,
I know.
That's hysterical. I did not.
Yeah.
That's
so sorry, but I was just like dying over here. I'm like, no way. It just continues.
That is so great.
So cool. So anyway, you're now like trying out with the Jets and
so I was trying out for the Jets, and I got a personal trainer and just went like beast mode, right? Like I was working out twice a day. My diet was like peak, I was like in it to win it. And at that time, I actually got invited to go to a dance reunion, and I wasn't going to go. And I was like, I don't know. Like, I haven't seen these people in like 15 years.
Yeah.
You know what? Whatever. I'll just go. Be good to see them. So ended up going. And one of the girls, I was talking to her about what I was trying out for. And she was like, oh my God, they just opened up this new gym down the block, and it has this really cool hip hop class. You should totally take it. It's really, really great. And I was like, yeah. She's like, do it. She gave me the name of it. So I was like, okay, cool. Let me try it out. So it took me about 2 weeks to get there. I walk in, there's about like 70 plus people in this room. Teacher comes in, I take the class, and I'm like, oh wow, that was so cool. It wasn't like Zumba. It was something really different. It was broken down. It was cool. I was so intrigued. So I ended up coming back the second time, and I became obsessed with it. Like I loved it. And I ended up, the audition came probably a month later, and I didn't make it because they told me, listen to this. This is so funny.
I'm ready.
So I get into the group, right? And this was before I had like my crazy bright hair. So at this point, I had more like a natural red, like a natural red. And in my group, everyone is like, and you probably know this because you tried out for this, like tanned, like spray tanned, like spray tan, and like bleach blonde, and like neon colors with their sports bra, and just like straight up and down thin. Okay. Yep. Then there's me. Now there's a group of like 5 people, and this is like the first round was like freestyle. So here's me, red hair, hoops, I looked like a fly girl. I had on.
Yes, that was my favorite. I wanted to be J-Lo at 5. Like, come on.
That totally was like that audition. I was a fly girl. I had like this
Yes.
metallic silver sports bra on. And every other song that they played for everyone else in their groups were just like Britney Spears pop stuff. And of course, I get a hip hop song. So the song comes on, we're freestyling. I hear this hip hop song. I think it was like Drop It Low, something like that. And in my head, I'm like, yes! I'm like, oh my God. I was booty popping so hard that my earring actually flew off stage because I was seeing my hair and booty popping so much. The reason why I didn't make it was because they told me I was too street and too sexy to do it. And
Girl.
to be honest, I was devastated. I was really upset.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a shoo-in. It was a
Mm-hmm.
I was going to get it. But what ended up happening was after that, probably the week after that, I went and skipped my psychology class, one of my classes, and went to go to that dance class. And the instructor ended up getting pulled over that day. And everyone's waiting around wondering where he is. And people were like, oh my God, Nikki, why don't you teach?
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, there was no laptops, there was no iPhones, like none of that stuff. So
you didn't have your playlist ready? What are you talking about?
I didn't have anything. I had to use the CDs that were in the drawers.
Yes.
Yeah, it was so like jock jams. But I ended up teaching class, and he came in probably 45 minutes into class and was like, whoa. We ended up creating, after that, he was like, we need to talk. And at that point, I was just graduating, and I was doing some freelance social media for other businesses, because at that point, social media was just becoming really big. To give you kind of a framework, that was when like Facebook business pages actually had great organic reach, and there was no thing as like, Facebook ads or whatever. Like it was literally just, the Facebook business. Mm-hmm. So I would go door to door, no joke. I would go on Google and look up different local businesses, and I would go door to door to these businesses and be like, hey, so I looked up your website and I looked up your social media and you have none.
Oh my God.
So I was doing that for a little bit. And then when I found the whole like dance thing in his program, he was bringing in like 70 plus people every class. And once I kind of like started teaching, which was like by complete accident, I said to him, I go, look, I think that this is a business. I can help you with the marketing and the programming, and I could teach. Like, let's make something out of this. And that was my first business. So I literally graduated, searched for a 9-to-5 for a hot second because my parents were like, you need to get a job. And ended up just giving like a middle finger to the world and started that business with him. And I ran that for I was a COO of that company and co-founder for about 4 years. And, we went on to certify like 30 instructors.
Wow.
I produced like 2 DVDs. We performed in so many places. And it was a really, really great experience for me. But at the end of the day, what really made me stand back, and I guess where I kind of really started my journey, was when I decided that I was really sick of like playing behind the scenes, because I always felt like I was in his shadow. And I actually had an investor say to me one time, he goes, he's like 10 times better than you. Like you should just like stay behind the scenes.
Shut up.
God, just stay behind the scenes. And, I had another investor who actually thought I was his assistant and did not take me seriously whatsoever. And, it was really upsetting, but I just got to a point where I was sick of being second fiddle.
Yeah, they like Kelly Rowland you.
They totally did. And I wanted to be Beyonce. I knew I was Beyonce, but they totally were just like, nope, we want him. And I just got to a point where I said, no, I'm not doing this. And him and I ended up getting in a huge fight. I mean, like just huge fight. And I said, I'm done. Like I'm done. And I actually, after that fight, went to Starbucks and went on Fiverr and got a logo. Then I went on Squarespace and made a website. Like literally that day, went to Starbucks and did all of that. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this myself. and, taught myself Squarespace. I was at Starbucks for like 12 hours. Like I just was like, I'm going to do this right now. And, and that's where really Nikki Pebbles came out of was through that. And from there, I just developed my brand and developed my voice and developed what I stood for. So there was so much grit and there was just so much, and still to this day, I still have people who still say like, you shouldn't be doing this. You're not good enough, blah, 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 blah. But it all comes down to like back to when not to make it sound cheesy, but like back to when I was younger and just knowing, I've always known that I've had something in me that I'm not supposed to be like everyone else. I've always felt that way. And it just brings it back to that circle of being around with those girls and them being like, oh my God, they just wanted the white picket fence. And I just wanted to put the middle finger up and draw graffiti on the white picket fence. Like I just didn't.
This is why I love you.
Yeah, I just didn't want that life. I didn't want that life. And that's really just always been that core pusher for me. Even when I want to give up, it's just knowing like, I know I'm supposed to do something so much greater than just be average. And I'm willing to sacrifice everything to get to that goal. So yeah, that's kind of my story in a nutshell.
Yeah. And this is why you're so fucking perfect for this, because, what I'm passionate about as a therapist and a coach is really helping women who know that they're meant for more, be able to, grab life by the balls and go for it. And it's really scary sometimes when you're surrounded by other women, like those little girls in that group who aren't doing that and who don't want that. And then you can start to shit on yourself for being like, why do I want this? And so this podcast especially is all about, how do we all find purpose and meaning in life? And what I love about your story is, yes, number one, the grit, but number two, the fact that having watched you now for so long, you give yourself the space to have the adaptability. And so I've seen you weave things back in here and there and then be willing to let them go when it's not working for you.
Yeah, totally. You got to be flexible. I think that's what a lot of people forget about when it comes to entrepreneurship is that you have to be flexible with what's, and not even entrepreneurship, just with life. You have to be flexible because there are going to be things that you're going to think to yourself, okay, like these are my goals, right? I don't really like making goals because you don't know what life is going to serve to you. So being able to more so have a vision versus goals and say to yourself, okay, like I am going to be flexible and look at this objectively. And if this isn't working, I'm willing to kind of let this go or figure out what's not working with it and figure it out along the way. I think we just get so stuck in our heads. And when we get like a brick wall in front of us, we sometimes just stare at the bricks instead of figuring out, okay, like, am I going to go over the wall? Am I going to go around the wall? Am I knocking the wall down? Like, what am I going to do to this wall to get through it? And I think that's why a majority of people give up so quickly is because they get the wall and they get stuck looking at it.
They just sit down and I'm like, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah, they just sit down and like, okay, well, I'm just going to like chill out here and just and I don't know, like I just want to kick walls in the face. Like if I listened to every single person who said you shouldn't do this, I would probably be, and not that there's anything wrong with this either, but I would probably be a guidance counselor in a high school with regular brown hair right now, living a regular life and being miserable. And not to say that the life I live right now is glamorous. I mean, every day I have a different breakdown and it's stressful and it's figuring it out. And
that's the entrepreneur life, girlfriend.
And I'm super truthful about it because I think so many people BS it. So many people bullshit what this actual lifestyle is, and it's not easy. It's not easy. Yet, I would rather go all in on this and figure it out and make the mistakes and be broke and then have money and then figure it out and be flexible than live a life that I know that I'm not supposed to live. Like that's just in my gut. It's like, ugh, like it just doesn't feel right to go that route. So it's just, you got to listen to that voice and you got to be super flexible with what gets thrown at you.
I think a lot of entrepreneurs, our number one fear is unfulfilled potential.
Correct.
Like,
Totally.
the idea of not trying scares me way more than taking a leap and failing, quote unquote. But then you got to go back to like, who's measuring my success?
Yep.
Fuck the trolls.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I had literally someone on Friday who told me that I don't even know who the hell she was, but told me that I'm narcissistic, that I shouldn't be posting about business because I don't have credits. And which I was like, okay, that doesn't make sense. And just went on to be like, you shouldn't be posting what you're posting. And she goes, you make me not want to dance anymore. You make me not want to do, just kept on. And then the next.
And why are you watching, bitch?
Yeah. And then I had another person who said to my face that he felt like my Facebook lives were too long and that I rambled on too much. And
wow.
Yeah. And you know what? Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh my God, I just brushed it off and it was just so easy, because it wasn't. It hurts. It hurt. But at the end of the day, like, I look at it this way, people are going to have their perception of you. It says more about them than it does about you. And I know for me that all of the stuff that they said is BS. That's like someone saying to me, oh, well, I don't like your blue hair. Well, I don't have blue hair. So that doesn't make any,
right. It doesn't have to hurt.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt because it's not true. So, so it's looking at trolls in that way. Like, what you're saying is just not true.
And that's something that I see scares a lot of even my clients who aren't entrepreneurs, is the fear of what do people think?
Yeah.
What do people think of me? What are they going to say? Oh my God, if I get divorced, what are people going to say about me? Oh my God, if I start my own business, what am I going to... Before I even graduated with my master's in psychology to become a counselor, my professors were already saying, oh, Tams, we don't know if you should go into private practice. People don't do that. You have to do the 9 to 5 first. Put your time in. No one's going to want to talk to an intern. Haha. I just want to I still teach for the university, so I have to be careful. But I'm like, not true. Turns out.
Yeah. Well, I got that too when I was in college. When I was a career counselor in college, I was interning as that. And I remember saying like, oh, I'm just going to start my own business out of college. And they're like, well, don't you think that you should get like some corporate real-time work, like working for a company, interning for a company? And I was like, no. I was like,
I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you. Because, it just didn't make sense to me. I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like, I'm going to go do my own thing. And I don't know. Some people just don't get that. And look, the fear of other people judging you is super scary. It's petrifying. If I had $1 for every time my parents said to me, get a 9 to 5, I wouldn't be doing what I was doing right now, because I'd be rich. Like, right. It's crazy. And it's not even my parents. It's, my boyfriend, my friends, they don't understand. And at the end of the day, people aren't going to understand. People aren't going to get it because they're so comfortable with being comfortable. And, I think to be an entrepreneur, a successful entrepreneur, you got to realize that people aren't going to agree with you. Because if everyone thought it was easy and everyone agreed with you, there probably wouldn't be a lot of entrepreneurs, like just like a regular type of thing. Like, okay, cool.
So true. And the bigger you get, the more visible you get, the more, trolls are going to come out. And so it's something that I've just learned to be okay with. And those are the days that you go back to all the positive comments and all the clients that you've helped. And yeah, because I love that you don't pussyfoot around it and try and, sugarcoat it. It does suck. And I bet you even Richard Branson still has days where he's like, damn, really? That's what you're going to say about me?
Yeah. Everyone has hate. Like, my dad always taught me, he was like, listen, go on Google and go Google your favorite person. I even Googled, I love Gary Vaynerchuk. Like, he is
me too.
My man. I need to meet him. Like, I love him. And I always say, like, if Marie Forleo and Gary Vaynerchuk had a redheaded baby, like, it'd
be you. Yeah. For sure.
For sure. But even he, like, I Googled him to see, like, I actually put people who hate Gary Vaynerchuk just to see what people were saying. And it was for me, as ironic as this is, very therapeutic,
Yes.
It just shows. It doesn't matter who you are. I love him, but people hate him. People hate Beyonce. People hate all of these people that we love. People hate.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a natural thing, but it's a really hard pill to swallow. It really is.
And here's what I've learned about branding and life, and I want to get your take on this, is that the faster that I got okay with being able to repel people, the more I drew in the tribe that I loved and was lit up by. When you can just own the fact of whatever. I had a troll on my Tales from a Trapezoid page the other day where, it's up to like 25,000 people. So it's not huge, but it's big. It's a big reach, right?
Yeah.
Right. And this one woman did not like my blog, 5 mantras to not lose your shit. And that's okay. She said I was contributing to the watering down of the word triggered and asked me to cease and desist immediately. Okay. And I was like, whoa, all righty then.
and
and as a counselor, though, I was like, because she was talking about, legit PTSD. And I had to be like, wait, Tams, go back to your core values. We knew we weren't talking, we mean me, myself, and I guess, about PTSD. We were talking I was using the word triggered in a non-clinical sense. Yeah. And once I went back and to reread the blog, I noticed, oh my God, it's been shared over 800 times in the past 24 hours. So this one person, did not resonate with it. Yeah, that's okay. But 800 other people did. Yeah. And were lit up by it. And they were, a different type of person. When I've looked around at the businesses and the other counselors, especially in the counseling and coaching field, it can be really scary because it's one of the industries where we're using ourselves as vehicles for change, right? It's not like we're selling widgets. And when somebody doesn't like your widget, you can go, all right, right? But when someone doesn't like you, it feels a little bit different. Right. But I learned even watching you and your lives, the people who love you fucking love you, right? And when you get okay with being magnetic, either positive or negative, that's where the success lies and satisfaction, both personally and business. What do you think?
Yeah, totally. I think the major problem that people make is that they fake the funk, right?
Right.
What I mean by that is that they come out the gate being someone that they're not. And they're thinking they have to be a certain way, which then attracts the wrong type of people. And then, therefore, I really do think that when people get like a huge magnitude of just like trolls and haters and people being nasty, it becomes, you have to step back and be like, okay, am I really being true to myself? Because if you are being really true to yourself, then that it's not, I have a lot more love than I do hate. And I think that's because I am unapologetically me. Like, I know who I am. My people know who I am. And they love who I am. So it's not like some random person is going to be like, well, I don't like you. Well, it's just like that woman who was like, I don't like you. I think this, that, and that. She's not my ideal client. Like, I would never consider her my ideal client. So no wonder why she doesn't like my stuff. So I think the first, you know what I mean? Like,
so easy to forget though, isn't it, girl? Like, it still took you a hot second of like, wait. Oh yeah, I don't want to do that anyway. Never mind.
Yeah, like I was really, really when I saw that first comment, I was really upset because that was probably the first online hate that I've ever gotten. Really. Other than that, like I've really been lucky in just having people who love what I do, so.
Well, achievement level unlocked, girlfriend.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, I think it's important to realize, asking yourself the question, am I being true to myself? Is this really my voice? And if it is, then own it. You're going to say things that piss people off. That's just the name of the game. Like you're going to say things that people are like, I don't agree with that. And that's okay. You know what I mean? That's how you get noticed. No one's going to like someone who's like, oh, yes, I agree with everything that you say. No. Like, I don't agree with what you say. Let's have a conversation about it. Or, or just be like, here's the door. See you later. We're not, we're not supposed to be in a client relationship or a fan or whatever. Fill in the blank. That's okay. But as long as you know who you are, you're good. You're good with that.
Or even dating. I remember being in the club one time and I was dating one of the like bar backs. We were in the bar and a fellow bar back like walked up to him and was like, you're hanging out with her? Oh, she's too fat to fuck. And I was like, what? What? And I had to remind myself that one stung. But then you just remind yourself of exactly what you just said. Like, oh, hello. Like, you're not even my type. Like, that's fine.
It goes with everything. Listen, I had a gym last year that actually told me that I was I was too fat to work there. Oh
my God.
Yeah, and
you and I are built really similarly, so I am feeling it.
And it was like I was flabbergasted. And that actually was a repeat thing that has happened in my life. I remember even being in high school, and I got recruited by Abercrombie and Fitch to then be told that I was going to only work in the back because I wasn't hot enough.
God.
Like, but all of these things, I know, right? Like, insert eye roll here.
Yes.
But like, if you look at both of those companies, right? They don't fit my brand values. Like, that's not what I'm about. Like, I don't agree with how, and Abercrombie has been known. They're known in the press, like, to only cater towards hot people. The guy had a hot rate, like a scale of how hot you were in the application. Like, I remember seeing that, being like, oh my God. And same thing with that one gym. So at the end of the day, did those comments hurt? Yes, absolutely. But at the end of the day, like, I know that stuff isn't true. I know I'm human, and I know what my brand stands for. And that's why it was so easy for me to kind of bounce back from that, because I don't want to work for people or be associated with brands or be associated with anyone who doesn't agree with my morals or my core values. So it's same thing with relationship. If you don't agree with it, then see you later. Have a great day. And I'm going to move on. It's nothing personal. It's just, you don't mash up.
And that's the perfect segue, because that's something I wanted to talk about in today's conversation is you have a platform based on 4 core values that you talk about a lot. Can you say more about that? Because I think it's powerful for people in business or otherwise, even in the club.
Yeah, totally. So the way that I look at your business, your brand, your life is like a house, right? So think about a house and think about what makes a house stand is the foundation. If you don't have a strong foundation, your house is not going to, like if you have let's say you built a really horrible foundation for your house. You're more so focused on the paint and the pictures and how great the couch is and all of that stuff, right? The exterior. If a storm rolled through, your house would be screwed. Like, you're done. That house is going to collapse because you focus more on the exterior stuff than the foundation. Now, if you go back and really concentrate on what your core values are, what holds that house up, you're going to have a sturdier foundation, a sturdier house. So no matter what storms pass through, your foundation is going to hold you up. So when you concentrate on your core values, not what you do, right? It's not like I'm a social media manager or I'm this or I'm that, right? It's what is it that you stand for, right? There's 4 of them. It could be like, for me, it's like femininity, energy, entrepreneurship. It's really making sure that you're focusing on what it is that lights you up and that you feel a connection with. Because then it doesn't matter what you put out there. That is kind of like your map for when people come to you and maybe it isn't the right brand to work with, or maybe it's not the right person that you want to date. If you know your core values and you know what you stand for, it's a lot easier to say no, because we don't match up. Like, your core values don't match my core values, and that's that. It's super simple, but so many people skip over that. They just go straight to like, oh my God, my logo. Oh my God, my website. No. That could always change. You can always change fonts. You always change colors.
Thank God, because decades move.
Thank God. But, like, you have to be able to figure out what it is that you stand for. And when you do that, you're unstoppable. No one can tear you down because you just always go back to those core values.
Oh, so love it. It's something that has really served me well long term. It's something that I was doing even before I knew that I was doing it, especially with my private practice. And as clinicians, start to come up and say, "Hey, can I work with you? Can I be an independent contractor? Can I sublease from you?" It's important to me like that. It's not just a business; it's like my womb. And if I want to invite you up into my sanctuary, we have got to be aligned. And so, for me, a lot of my core values are one of the biggest ones is pluralism and being sure that you're not just stuck to my way is the right way. So I work with clients with all sorts of spiritual backgrounds and the queer community at large, all of it, the entire rainbow alphabet soup.
Yep.
And I'm here in the South, so it's kind of a big deal. If you're going to come into my womb, you're going to have to be okay with the rainbow flag and all the religions, or even though we're not working at the same hours, that was just something that was important to me. And it's made it a lot easier to weed people out for sure.
Absolutely. It just works your power of no. Like you're just like, no, not going to work.
Nope. No. And there's nothing personal about it. It's just, we're not a great fit.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. It's that simple.
We're just not a good fit. Yes.
Not a good fit. It's not me. It's not you. It's me. It's actually is you.
Yeah. No, it's totally you.
Totally.
And I guess it's totally me too, but that's okay. And that's where I can turn around and laugh and be like, "You're right. I am too fat for you. I'm way too much woman for you. Sorry.
You just can't handle this ass poop.
No, this amazing bubble butt. It's not for you.
Not for you."
Yeah. Which brings me to another thing that I really love about you, and you're pretty open about sharing, is the body positivity movement and how that is one of your core passions, is helping women feel great about their bodies and their business.
Yeah, totally. I think at the end of the day, I'm more just like a confidence conductor, right? Like that at the, I work on branding, I work on social media, and I worked extensively in the fitness industry. And, at the end of the day, my job is to help women feel confident, whether that's in their body, brand, or business. And I struggled immensely with my body. Starting at the age of 12, I was diagnosed with anorexia at the age of 12. Wow. And, lost my period, stunted my growth. And it all stemmed from, me thinking that by being skinny, and I remember it like it was yesterday. I was watching Mission Impossible 2. And I was watching it after school, and the actress that was in there she's naturally thin, right? Like it wasn't her balls. She was naturally thin. And at that point, I really thought that I was going to be like the next Britney Spears. Like I just wanted to be famous when I grew up. And I looked at that and I said, okay, well, if I want to be famous, I have to be skinny. I have to look like that. And then the next day I stopped eating. And, I would imagine being 12 years old and going to your friend's house and not eating Teddy Grahams because they have too many calories in it, or that I couldn't eat sprinkles because they had too many calories in it. My friends were looking at me like, "What's wrong with you?" But I stunted my growth. My doctor was like, "I really don't think that you're going to grow past 5." I think I was 4'11" at the time. She's like, "I really don't think that you're going to grow past 4'11." And that really scared the crap out of me. And I actually, after that conversation, I started eating again, started to like get back some weight. And when I got my period back, I actually said to myself, I'm fat again. Like I associated my period with being fat. And I just from that point on, I've always struggled with my body because I went through puberty and looked like I was 25 years old. I had a big butt, big boobs. Guys were looking at me. I didn't know what to do with that. I was confused. I was embarrassed and just, never fit in. I never fit in school and just always wanted to be the popular pretty girl. And it never, it just never worked. And it just caused so many, I hate to say the word issues, but it really did. Like just continued all through high school, college, even to this day. I'm not even going to sit here and be like, oh my God, I love myself all the time because I don't. It's still a constant struggle with my body. And, I just think that especially being in the fitness industry, experiencing hate from the fitness industry because I didn't have the six pack, I didn't have the six pack and the bulging muscles, and, I didn't want to eat, like really strict. I believed in it being flexible and loving your body. Just because you're not a size, just because you don't have a six pack doesn't mean that you're not healthy.
Right.
That was a really big message that I personally needed to share, because the psychology behind the marketing of the fitness industry is really fucked up.
Agreed.
And it sets women up for failure, right? And that's not to discredit. Look, the fitness industry is supposed to help people. It does amazing things for people. But I think we need to be really realistic with the expectations that we have for our bodies and what our bodies can do. I will never be a size 0. No matter how hard I try, it will not happen. I will never look like the girls on the billboards. And that's okay. That's okay. And I think that message needs to be spread more within the fitness community, within just in life in general, because it just sets us up for failure. And as someone who has struggled with their body, struggled with liking, like I just wanted to not even love. I just wanted to like who I was, not look in front of the mirror and be like, ew, that's gross. Because look, I've been 110 pounds. I've also been 170 pounds. And guess what? I hated my body more at 110 pounds. I hated myself. So it's not about like, oh, when I become thinner, I'm going to be happier. That's bullshit. It's, you know what I mean? That's a bunch of BS. It's so much more mental. It's all mental than it is like this weight's going to make me happy.
I love it. There's no one size fits all on anything. Not on brand, not on business, not on body. Just stop it. No box. There's no box.
Yep. Exactly.
So as we start to wind down a bit, how did you find your way out? What would you say to women that, want to empower themselves the way that you have? How do they start?
I think it really comes down to, a couple of things, honestly. You got to sit back and really, really think to yourself, what is it that I want? Not what my husband wants, not what my mom, dad want, not what my relatives want, not what the education wants. What do I want? What is, like, when you close your eyes and you allow yourself to really just like dream big, what is that dream? What is that vision that you have? And start from there. And then once you feel that feeling of like, oh, that's it. Like, that's the vision. It's coming up, like I said before, with the core values, what it is that you stand for. And it's understanding that you're going to make mistakes, that you're going to mess up. And if you're going to go into this thinking that you have to be perfect, you are setting yourself up for failure, boo-boo. Like, you gotta realize that, like, you're going to make mistakes, and then find people. And it might not be your immediate circle. It might not be your boyfriend. It might not be your friends. It might not be your parents. You got to find people who understand where you're coming from and support you in that. Because you're going to have times where it's not going to work. That the people around you are going to say, look, you got to be realistic with yourself. And I always laugh when people say be realistic, because I'm like, what does that even mean?
Whose reality?
What? Yeah, right? Like, get real, like, stoner on them. What is reality? Where are we living? Like I hate that. So, it's realizing, that people are going to disagree with you, and finding those people who are going to be like, look, I get what you're going through. You can do this. And then push through on there. And then I think lastly, it's only focusing on things that make you happy. And that sounds so cliche, I know.
But it's so good.
So true. If you lead with, this makes me so happy, I love this, and this is what lights me up. I've always said that when you follow your passion and what makes you happy, it doesn't even come down to a money thing, right? Because I know a lot of people who have amazing jobs and make a ton of money, and they're miserable. They are miserable. So don't make it about like, I want to make $1 million a year. Go with the idea of like, I just want to be happy. I want to serve people. I want to help people, and I want to be happy, and this lights me up. And then go from there, because there are people, I saw this on Facebook the other day. There's someone like in Scotland who's selling air, like literally bottling up air.
Yes.
And selling to people in other countries. Mm-hmm. And I said to myself, if these people, and they were so happy. They love it. They're like, oh, like walking around the field, lit up. And I'm like,
Scottish air.
Yeah. I'm like, if people can sell air, there's no excuse why people can't follow their damn dreams. And that's an extreme example. But at the end of the day, like,
perfect.
Got to do what makes you happy.
Yeah, I once heard about a woman that all she does, she manages clowns. She hooks up clowns with like birthday gigs. This woman's a millionaire now.
I just saw someone who's a professional bridesmaid.
That's
like she's hired to be a bridesmaid, and I'm like, oh, that's such a good idea,
right? Or what about that professional line guy? He just stands in lines for people that like need to get an iPhone or tickets to Hampton.
There's opportunity everywhere. There really is.
No, you know what? And I think people put way too much pressure on themselves too. Since I'm an existential therapist, a lot of people come in and they're like, I haven't found my passion yet. And that's, I'm not making a ton of money doing what I want to do. And I am about to get totally cheesy. You think you're cheesy. I'm going to take a lesson from like Nikki Pebbles and follow the pebbles to your passion. Like it's no more complicated than that. It's just what makes me happy today. It might be a freaking yoga class. Enjoy that yoga class. What is it about the yoga class that you like, right? And then follow it into the next thing. Yeah,
totally. And even to bring it into like, because I know you're a psychology nerd like I am, when you think about your future, that's when you get super anxious. And then when you think about your past, that's really when you start to get like depressed.
Stay present, y'all.
So stay present, man. Like just think about what is the next right move and for you in this moment today, and then go do that. And then think about the next right move for this day. Just go like hour by hour and just like take a breath and enjoy that present moment.
Especially for those of us who, like me and you, Nikki, live the more portfolio life, as I say. It's like a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I didn't know what I fucking wanted to be. My sister at 14 knew she wanted to be a social worker. I didn't figure that shit out. Like I said, I did the personal training thing. And then I was like, maybe holistic health. Then it was, ooh, psychology. What is this? And even then within psychology, I'm still growing. It's like I knew that traditional counseling was not going to be enough. So, maybe working for myself because there's no way I'm going to stand having to wear those suits that I've heard you talk about. I can't do that either. Oh, no. And now now it's like spiritual empowerment coaching on the side, so to speak.
Yeah, totally.
You got to be willing to grow and adapt, people. Follow the pebbles. Follow the pebbles. Nikki, you are such a joy. Thank you so much for being on with me.
This was so much fun. I had such a good time. Thank you so much for having me.
I know you're on Instagram. Is that your favorite place for people to connect with you?
It is. So Instagram, you can find me at Nikki Pebbles, and that's Nikki. And then also check out my Facebook Lives. I go live every Sunday, and then Monday I have a call-in show. So definitely check me out, and that's just Nikki Pebbles as well.
Yeah, you're amazing. Love those. I often catch you in the bathtub. That's just the time when I finally get to relax. And I'm like, yes, Nikki, cheer me up in the bathtub. What's up? So great.
I love it.
Thank you again. And I will see you on the internet. Thanks for listening to the Undressing the Spirit podcast. I pray you found some inspiration and titillation today. As always, I am forever grateful for 5-star reviews, comments, and subscriptions on iTunes and anywhere else you may be listening to this broadcast. Please note the information provided is not meant to convey professional, psychological, or medical advice. If you could use such services, I highly recommend seeking them out from someone you trust. To get in touch with me personally, please check out ariatherapy.com or talesfromatrapezoid.com. Until next time, everyone.